DragCast, episode 178. We are back because we are doing some self-quarantining. Yes, it's coronavirus, COVID-19. I don't know what to say because it's been a while. I'm just getting back to the swing of things. It's DragCast. I kind of want to do it again. I kind of want to do it one more time. Hold on. Take two. DragCast, episode 178. Shit. Okay, let's try it one more time. It's been a while, Rusty. DragCast, episode 178. We are back again because we are forced to sit and look at one another because we have nothing else to do because COVID-19 is making it all possible to bring us together for DragCast. Episode 178.
It's like it was meant to be.
Yeah. It has been really long. It's been almost a year. Actually, like 11 months almost to the day that we have recorded an episode of DragCast with Nina West. So we got to welcome you back. Probably a lot of new listeners and a lot of, hopefully we brought back all of our old listeners. My name is Andrew, a.k.a. Nina West.
And I'm Patricia.
And we are back with DragCast.
Are you,
It's so crazy.
It is crazy.
I'm so excited right now to be sitting here looking at you at safe distancing of at least 3 feet.
Like through our microphone pads, like we have we're both at the microphone.
All the safety in the world.
Just like the eyes over the microphone is all I can see, which is, it's lovely. I feel a little rusty. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling a little rusty, but I want you to know the whole gang is here. Patricia's here, I'm here, Edgar's here, Felicity's here. You might hear some squeaking balls in the background, but we are back in my home studio here in Columbus, Ohio, where the last time we were all together, we were talking about RuPaul's Drag Race and my run on Drag Race, and little did we know I was getting so busy that we just stopped recording because I wasn't home.
We weren't able to find the time to sit down together and be in the same
keep
place.
Up with it.
And also there have been so many wonderful opportunities over the year that, you didn't forget about DragCast, but sometimes sometimes you have to do other things. Sometimes other things are calling. And now it's time to come home to DragCast. I wonder, Edgar and Felicity are your dogs.
Yeah, they are. So, Edgar and Felicity are my pups.
I am wondering if Edgar, since
he's right there. We've said his name too many
times.
Hi,
buddy. Since he historically squeaks a ball while we're on the show, he doesn't do that normally, but as soon as we sit down to record, he'll find like a squeaky toy and squeak it. I'm wondering how many episodes it's going to take for him to start that habit again.
I have a feeling he's going to fall. He's going to fall right into. He is you can't teach an old dog old tricks. So I feel like he's gonna come right back to it. But man, a lot has happened since we have sat down. Really, we have. There was no sign of me slowing down until this outbreak, this pandemic kind of happened because I was actually in Manhattan. So I like the island Manhattan.
I know you do.
I love you so much. It's so good to be back. It's nice to laugh. It's nice to laugh. Hopefully, that's a part of this. Okay, so we got a lot of goals with. We don't know how many. We guys should say this.
Yeah.
We don't know how many episodes we're gonna get in. The goal is to do just what we can when we can, and hopefully bring some brightness and some cheer to your day, some levity, and even some maybe talking about some serious stuff too, like we historically do on DragCast. But we are taking all of these really these kind of guidelines and precautions very, very seriously. So should one of us happen to get sick or we just are unable to get together for a variety of reasons, we want to just ensure that we're doing our best to make sure we're taking care of ourselves, one another, our friends, and our family. And so we're just going to do as many episodes as we can while we have the time to do them. So right now it's here in Columbus, Ohio, it is Saturday, March 14th. We don't know when we'll put this episode out. Probably within maybe even tonight. We don't know yet, but
soon and for the rest of our lives.
Hello. But we are excited to get back to it. what you can do is, if you want to get involved in the conversation with us before we get too much further, you can get involved with us by going to our socials. It's DragCast. It's at DragCast on Instagram, at DragCast on Twitter. Follow us and join us in the conversation. We've got some great episodes coming up. Like, if you have any questions about season 11, that'll be in our next episode. We're going to be talking a lot about what we missed and recapping things that happened during season 11. So if you've got questions about the season 11 queens or me or the journey, hit us up. We will be putting those up. Looking for your feedback and questions for that. We have an episode coming up about red carpet experiences and about the kind of the everything post Drag Race. The weird flight of this experience for me. So if you have any questions about that, or you have commentary, we'll be going everywhere. We'll be going into it everywhere from Maleficent, the film premiere Maleficent, to Frozen, to the Emmys red carpet, the Creative Arts Emmys, Trevor Project, and beyond, you know. So, and we want to know what you want to hear about. You know, we want to talk about the things you want to hear about. So, drop us some messages. Look on our socials on Instagram, on Nina West at DragCast Patsy, and on Twitter at DragCast Patsy, at Nina West at DragCast, and get at us with your feedback. But so I was saying, you know, as we were getting started, so I was actually, I mean, how has this whole experience been for you as this has kind of ramped up into this pandemic that we're kind of experiencing right now?
Oh, Corona. I was like, I thought, I was like, which experience? Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like a lot of people. I have just been trying to keep up with the news and, you know, just kind of educate myself. But, and it's been really kind of sucky because, you know, like I like to constantly be around people until I don't, and then I like to be alone for a while, like, you know, the ambivert personality, and I'm really not able to do that first thing, you know, where you like, and I just like, if I like, I do need, like, I really value my alone time, but if I like sit in my house for 24 hours, like even when I'm sick, I start to go stir crazy and I want to go out and I want to do something. So far I have, you know, it's, we're not really quarantined. I'm practicing social distancing. So far I, you know, I'm going to the coffee shop. I'm running an errand here and there, but, yeah. And then, I mean, how's it been for you? How are you experiencing this?
Well, you know, it's been crazy because I can say that I was doing my European tour. I did my solo show with Club Kids called The Magnificent Nina West. And during that time period, so that was that was really mid-January to mid-February, and then I was over there for Katya's Comedy Queens, which took us to the middle of February before I came home. And COVID-19 was just, I think when there was fear of it really kind of, there was a lot of unknowns when we had landed in the UK. We started off the tour in the UK in early January. And then we did 4 dates, I think, in the UK with the Magnificent Nina West, and we went over to Europe. And we did, I think we did Milan, then we did Paris, then we did Berlin. So we did Milan first.
Good, get it out of the way.
Well, yeah, it was, but you know, we weren't that, I guess, super paranoid at that point. You know, we weren't aware. But then we got back to Europe for the Katya's Comedy Queen tour. Like, I finished the Magnificent Nina West and we did Katya's Comedy Queens, and we just kept hearing stuff. It started to really get more into pervasive into the news and the topic of conversation, to the point where when we landed in the States, I landed in Los Angeles for an event in the States, and it was a month to the day that we were in Milan. And then when I landed, Milan was quarantined. So that was like, whoa, okay, what does this mean? So then I kind of kept up my rigorous tour schedule, and I was monitoring, and I was trying to make sure that I was taking my health and, you know, my awareness into consideration, as well as audience members, you know. And so when I got back to the States, I was really mindful of wanting to make sure like I was healthy and I was okay. That I could I have come into contact with someone. And at that point of the COVID-19 outbreak, it was a 2-week deal.
2-week incubation period.
Yeah, 2 weeks, 14 days, and
symptoms after that.
But that was like 2 days after I landed in LA, and that was when I landed in LA and we did the Onward premiere, and so I had so I was really trying to be mindful of kind of my health and my was I showing any symptoms, and I didn't, and then a couple days later it was like I read this headline was you can be asymptomatic and share corona.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh God, okay. So I became even more hyper aware. And if you don't know me, I'm kind of a hypochondriac, which is kind of a bizarre.
it's true.
It's kind of a bizarre trait to have when I'm so. I also love to be. I'm very like kind of as you're describing earlier. Like, I'm very like I'm very affectionate. So I really love to if people want to hug me, I love a hug. If I'm very respectful. If people want to hug, I want to hug. If people want to like shake a hand, I'll shake a hand. Like I'm just very like, I'm very much in it for, I love meeting people. And so I started to really be kind of aware of that. Then, we go to this last leg of this most recent tour. And I had to fly out to LA to do some stuff. And then I flew back. I was in New York twice. I was in New York City for some work. And then I flew to Los Angeles for some work. Then I flew back to New York to attend. I flew back into New York and I landed this past Tuesday. That would have been, the 9th? I don't even know. Just kind of to give a timeline. I landed back in New York on the Tuesday, and they had quarantined New Rochelle. I landed and they were quarantining it. And it was like a 2-mile radius was being quarantined. And so I was like, oh my God. And I was going back to New York to attend the premiere on Thursday. I was invited to attend the premiere of Six, the musical on Broadway, the opening night. And so I had seen the show in the West End. Everyone at Six, my friends all know, they all know I'm a really giant fan of this show. I love this show. And so I was really amped up and excited, but you could feel, in New York, you could feel the change from the time I was there 3 days ago to coming back into the city, and everyone was just everything was just getting more fevered, not for lack of a better,
not literally.
But there was a much more the tone was just really changing. But I could, I was monitoring the situation. I was talking to my management, and I said, I don't know if I feel really comfortable doing meet and greets right now.
Yes, I was like, do not be meeting and greeting and touching people.
Yeah, so I was like, so I don't really do that. So I think we were preparing for this weekend that we're currently in. I was like, hey, can we reach out to the promoters and just let them know that I'm I don't want to do meet and greets. I think it's in my best interest and in the interest of everybody else. Like here I am in the largest city in the world, one of the largest cities in the world, where people are just on top of one another. And, I'm attending Broadway shows. I'm supposed to go to a Broadway opening. I just want to be really mindful and aware that I don't want people to be exposed if I have been exposed.
Yeah.
And just for everyone's health and safety. And then Wednesday comes around and we get more guidelines and it's like, oh yeah, I don't think I should do meet and greets at all. And I just want to make sure we're looking out at the schedule in case things start to need to be postponed. And then on Wednesday night, it was, just restrictions were starting to come in. The UK, the European flight restriction was issued by the president. And then I woke up Thursday, and that's the day of the opening night of Six. And I'm like, okay, I just have a feeling I'm not going to make it to this opening. I just have a feeling I should go home. And my manager called me, and he said, hey, I really think you should consider. He goes, I know you want to go to this opening night, but I think you should really reconsider and get home just in case they ground domestic flights. And I was like, well, they wouldn't do that. I'm thinking, oh, they wouldn't do that. But then I'm thinking anything is possible at this point. So at that point, I had made the decision to reschedule and postpone all of my appearances through the end of March, and put out a statement because I think it's really important to allow people to understand why you're doing it.
Yeah, the thought process.
And to tell the truth, I had a venue tell me that they didn't really want me to say that it was because of Corona that I was rescheduling. And I'm like, but that's I'm not going to mislead people to think it's okay to go out and gather en masse. I don't want people to think it's. Do you know what I mean? I just think that's a mistake.
And so that you would
encourage
cancel for no reason, just a few weeks early, like without a good reason. Like I know you've
I don't
had
cancel.
to reschedule bookings before because that's life, and you always had a good reason. But like when you're rescheduling a bunch of back-to-back bookings,
well, that's the thing. Like,
because you're
rescheduling
on.
is like I'm very mindful of my schedule, and I take my commitments very seriously. It's very difficult, and I think everyone who knows me knows that it's very difficult for me to like agree to do something and then not do it because I feel like I'm letting people down.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is in my psychology, I feel like I'm letting people down, and I don't want to let people down. And so if I have to reschedule engagements, it's been very few and far between, and it has been with notice, and it has been for only the most important of reasons.
Yeah.
With this coming up, and outside of my control, the one thing I had to identify was what is in my control. I can control people not gathering,
Or like what you're doing
for me. Like I can control what I'm doing, and in turn, if people go out, they won't be going out for me. You know what I mean? And that's not on them. But I would feel insanely responsible and guilty should I put someone in a position if they were to go to a venue to see me and they got sick or they became a carrier, or they started, or they became asymptomatic, but then they came in contact with a parent or a relative who might have a compromised immune system or who might be older.
Yeah, that is part of it.
So,
it's like
the responsible thing for me to do was I wanted to get ahead of it and say, you know what, I'm not doing this, and I love you all too much to do this. It is not. This is because now I am facing, there's no income, so I have to be really resourceful and really smart. But if that impacts me, think of the people who don't have the exposure like Drag Race.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I do want to talk about in this episode.
Widespread.
So we'll come back to that.
Widespread issue.
But so I got home. So my manager. So I canceled going to Six, the musical. It was still, at this point, Broadway was still open. So I said, I'm not going to be, unfortunately, I won't be able to be in attendance. I send the email. 20 minutes later, Broadway's dark. Like, Broadway's now closed for 30 days. And I was like, oh, I made the right decision. So get me on a plane. It's time to go home. And I have been home since. Cheers.
Yeah.
With our hot tea.
So here's the other thing. So, like, just hearing your outline of your events, it just like matches to what feels like the global timeline of like, okay, this was the thing that was happening in a place far away. We should be concerned about it, but preventative measures have worked in the past, to shut down some of these bigger threats. So, and then the pandemic gets declared, and at each of these steps, and then it shows up in Europe. It's Italy is really hard hit. South Korea is really hard hit. People are going to conferences, and then suddenly like conferences are being canceled and bigger events are being canceled. And here I am, just like everybody else. I'm like, should I be going on a trip on a plane? Should I be going to this party or whatever it is that has like a large number of people? And, I don't feel like we were getting a lot of good answers because there
wasn't a lot of honesty, to be quite, I think, clear. I don't know.
Oh, in our government, like our federal government, with the thing that's at the helm of it now, here's the thing. I think
here's the thing.
Here's the thing about the president, and we've said this as like a country for so long. We've been talking about this for the past 3 years that he's been our leader. He has discredited himself so much that I feel like the country, we're looking to each other to figure out what we should do, because at every turn that he is gonna get up there and say something, it's not trustworthy.
Right.
Even if it was true, but then he's him, so take it all with a grain of salt. But so like, I think that's why like the panic of like buying a bunch of toilet paper. I didn't do that. I didn't go out and buy a ton of toilet paper because I was trying to figure out, what will I actually need in my life? What are the, like, what am I needing to be prepared for? How prepared am I needing to be versus someone else, like, who is older or, like, there's been a run on masks and medical grade masks for medical professionals. And then like, they need the masks. Do I need the mask? You know, like trying to be as thoughtful and responsible as I can with the information that I have, but also really not wanting to get sick because I don't want to get anyone else sick. You know, like really don't want to be the person who was like, oh my God, it's no big deal picking my nose at the movie theater or, you know, like in the airport on a crowd or like in a crowded event or something, you know? So I think we've all been trying to like navigate
it's difficult.
those choices. And like, do I cancel, you know, like if I was on a tour, would I cancel tonight's booking? Do I cancel starting tomorrow? Like workplaces are closing Monday. Schools are closing Monday. You know, it's like, it's all these calls that people have to make. So I'm just trying to keep up.
It's interesting too, because, you know, I think one of the first calls that was, they canceled Coachella. And then they canceled, South by Southwest was the first real big major cancel. And then I think Coachella was, DragCon canceled right before Coachella. And then Coachella canceled. Like DragCon, I do want to say, I applaud the organizers of RuPaul's DragCon because they canceled early. And I think that gives a lot of relief to people who, this is why it's important, right? As a ticket buyer to an event, you know, someone had commented on one of my posts that I posted about canceling, and she was a friend that I've known for years, and she lives in Virginia, and she said, you know, I just want to say I appreciate you canceling because I really wanted to see you. I haven't seen you for so long, but you're giving me the relief that it's okay for me to not be there. I don't have to make that decision. And I don't have to make that decision. And so that's really nice that these big things that are really kind of like, I mean, like, right, the Final Four is canceled. I mean, everything's pretty much canceled now. Like Sherry Pie, everything's canceled. But
cancel culture. We canceled all the conventions.
We'll talk about that as well in another episode. But you know, all of these things, these are jokes, but we're trying to make you laugh, and I'm sure someone just rolled their eyes. I apologize. Can't make it. Okay. Anyway,
I have my people roll their eyes at me all the time. I'm okay.
But you know, so everything's canceling. So we just kind of I can't think of an experience like this that we've all have this common experience, especially kind of this global conversation like COVID-19. I think the closest thing it relates to, I think in our lifetime, would probably be September 11th, where everyone was talking about the terrorism attack on the United States, where there was a conversation like this. But that, do you know what I mean? Like there's a group,
like
there's a group. It is like a
civic sense of, it is kind of like a sense of unity. Like regardless of if people have different takes, and yes, definitely people are not all acting like altruistically and perfectly and with regard to others. However, it is something that like, okay, now we're all in this together. You know what I mean? Like this impacts us all. So there is that kind of sense of like, what do we do? Well, this is what we're supposed to do, and this is how we're going to get through it. So we all need to do it. And I do think more or less people are at least trying to follow directions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to get some input and insight from maybe some of our listeners and have some more fun with you. We'll be right back. Hey guys, Nina West here. I know that this time is really scary and precarious. We aren't really sure what's going on or even what to expect. We're all going through it. Maybe you have a little bit more to spare than others. Consider making donations to organizations that support your giving goals. Charitable organizations will really struggle during this time period to make their goals and make the impact so desperately needed within their own communities. Right now, many people may be finding themselves out of work, isolated, lonely, and even without supplies to access for their basic needs. I know I personally am going to be looking at organizations locally who may help. Like, you know, here in Central Ohio, we have the MidOhio Foodbank providing meals, Kaleidoscope Youth Center providing both food and safe space for LGBTQIA plus teens who desperately need it, and Equitas Health for meeting healthcare needs for the LGBTQIA plus community and the greater Columbus community. You can do the same in your local community today. Think about it, go online, search, and see what you can find to make a difference. Go big, Be kind. Stay healthy.
And we're back.
Yeah, we are.
Ready to talk about the things that you've been talking about. We took a little break. We've been playing a little board game, which we will get into later.
Did, yeah.
And we took a little break to kind of gather some responses from you guys to hear what you're doing during this time where you may not be able to go to work and you start, and we're kind of being more responsible by staying home more. So what are you doing while you're staying home more to pass the time? Yeah. What are people So we asked on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So some of the responses that we're getting, some of my favorite responses.
Yeah. So again, this was like all, we're going to be doing this a lot since we're going to have a little bit of time to do some podcasts. We're going to be looking to you guys for feedback. And so most likely it's going to kind of come in a bunch of different ways. We'll be doing some Instagram lives to pull some feedback on the spot as we record. We'll be posting questions on our socials. So you want to use this opportunity, if you can, to follow us now if you're not already. Thanks for listening, by the way. But on Twitter, it's @DragCast. On Instagram, it's @DragCast. And on Facebook, of course, it's DragCast with Dina West. But Patricia, so yeah, give us some of the responses to the questions posed.
On Facebook, Robert is binge watching the Hunger Games series to stay distracted as the new book comes out in May. So he's getting prepped.
Wait, there's a new Hunger Games book coming out?
Yeah.
Where have I been?
This is literally the first I'm hearing of it. But I trust the fans,
I mean, yeah, I'm not one to question. I'm not one to ever question a fandom because, I have my own fandoms of things that I love. So if they're Robert, good on you. Now I'm going to put it on my list to, I guess I'm not that big of a fan, but now I want to read the fourth book because I read the first three. Okay, go on, sorry.
And Steven said, learn a new language. Instead of spending too much time on social media, reading on the virus and people's reactions, Duolingo has been a good way to distract and challenge myself. So I've been learning Dutch, which is really cool.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think that's a great way, like learn a skill, or learn something.
Do you think
you don't really have time to do that in your workaday life?
No, I mean, like do you think this is all kind of is this? And I saw somebody's post that's this is Mother Nature's way of saying, like, stop, like, and to regroup, like this is the kind of the universe saying.
I saw that, and I while I don't think that that's true. I don't think that that's true. I just think we're in this situation and it's we are in a different situation than we were a few weeks ago. So now we should take those opportunities to unplug. I think it's just to me, I don't, people get sick, bad things happen in the world, and there's a silver lining maybe, but it's hard to say this is for a reason. Do you know what I mean? Like, to me, I'm just like more comfortable saying this is the opportunity that we've been given by the circumstances. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
A couple of people also mentioned things that they're binging. Amy on Facebook has been sucked into 90 Day Fiance and she cannot get out of it. And thank you, Deanna, for supporting Amy. Don't ever be ashamed of this. This is my favorite exchange on Facebook today. Lisa is baking and drinking, which I can't fault her for.
On Twitter, these are really good answers. On Twitter, on our DragCast Twitter page, YellowCloud14 at YellowCloud14. This is interesting. So this is a response from one of our fans in the United Kingdom. It's business as usual there. They still have to go to work. Nothing is shut down, which is making me wonder are we doing enough? Or are other places doing too much? The Prime Minister's message, expect loved ones to die, prepare yourselves. So yeah, I think we're done for. But this weekend I've also discovered and binged on Pose, and holy cow, it's amazing. Yes. If you haven't seen it, defo recommend. I'm now obsessed with @the Billy Porter. Obviously, first of all and foremost, Billy Porter is going to cure Corona, COVID-19. I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Billy Porter's everything. But this is interesting. So I'm messaging with another friend in the UK who I had got pretty close to on the last tour, and they were saying that it's nerve-wracking over in the UK because they aren't shutting things down. They aren't taking those precautions that seem to be taken over here, like in the States. So people are working. Schools are not shut down. I guess the only closure is the Apple Store because it's a global closure. So it's a little nerve-wracking. So I don't have, my words of advice are, guys, wash your hands. Seriously, these are things I would do. If you're not getting the kind of the response you need or the support you need from your place of work or your school, I would wear latex gloves. If you don't have access to latex gloves, fine. I don't know how to. I don't know.
Yeah. Just hand washing and
hand wash. No more pleasant. Like, don't hug people. Everyone understands. Globally, this is happening everywhere. No more hand hugs. No more kissing. Just really try to take care of yourselves and really try to practice, especially somewhere like the UK where you're not getting the ability to stay at home and you're not getting the chance to self-quarantine. Put a safe distancing between you and some friends. Just try it. It will help save lives. It will make a difference. So thank you, Yellow Cloud 14 on Twitter for that. Another reply. Patricia, you had one?
Oh yeah. On Instagram, that ginger guy is being discouraged from going to the gym, but that's forced him to start being creative about his workouts. Also binging shows like Mrs. Maisel, Modern Love, and Good Omens. I've seen all of Mrs. Maisel. My issue is I caught up on all my shows, and I'm like, now what do I binge?
I've got more shows for you. Okay, so a couple things I want to talk about. That's a great post. So I have literally found myself because of touring. Getting rid of some habits. I have put on some weight, and so I'm hoping during this time period of refocusing and kind of self quarantine and working on some creative projects that I can also drop a few pounds. So I feel that ginger guy. I really do feel that. Also, shows I'm starting to watch now because I have a little bit more time. I started The Mandalorian. I love it. Secretly,
I've already watched it.
I love it. Do you like it?
I like it. I
really like it because it's epic and it's old Western storytelling set in space. I think it's great.
That's Star Wars.
And I just think it's great. And I also started watching, and I know I posted about this on Twitter a couple weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, last week when I was in New York. My friend Sydney had an Apple Plus, an Apple TV, whatever that subscription is called, Apple Plus. And he was a big fan of the morning show, so I started watching it, and I really I'm obsessed with it. I've really always loved Jennifer Aniston, and to see her just do so many great things in this show, I think a lot of her choices are awesome. So, and Billy Crudup is just so good in it. He is so good in it. It's just, okay, so I'm only halfway through the series, but I think I have 3 more episodes. So I'm going to finish that. So those are 2 of my recommendations. If you have those streaming services, if you don't have Disney Plus or Apple Plus, and you have something like Netflix, if you haven't watched The Circle yet, The Circle is absolutely addicting. And I have in the middle of Love is Blind. And so those are 2 really great, strong choices too on Netflix. I have another comment here from Twitter. And this is my friend at your dad's side piece. And Grant writes a really great remark. Girl, I am stressed. As a public health professional, I feel like my friends and family think I'm a conspiracy theorist when I explain why we need to take such drastic measures to mitigate this. And I think that that is such an important response. Because, Grant is talking about things that are very, very serious here. I don't think it's fair. I think everyone's allowed to have the reaction they want to have, but I think you're being a little selfish to not take into consideration how your actions. This is a great time where your actions definitely do impact a lot of other people around you.
It's real. Yeah.
It's very real.
It's not like a difference of opinion.
Yeah, this isn't whether or not you think that. Butter is
the most delicious food
or not, even though we know butter is not a carb. But I'm just
and so you're definitely, we're doing what we can with the information, but I'm just trying to agreeing with you because your actions do have consequences, and they can really have they can help people. Yeah, they can slow the spread.
And I know that we all find ourselves in really terrible, precarious positions, and how do we deal with this, right? We don't have all the answers, but we do know that we are all in it together. This is something we're all experiencing the exact same time together with pretty much the same amount of information. And it's really important that we all get the right information out there. So again, wash your hands, try to stay away from people, and try to entertain yourself. This is a really good time for you to maybe write love poems to me. There's something I definitely have a shortage of is our odes to Nina West that I can put on my wall. And you'll be probably seeing a lot more of my house as this self-quarantine goes on.
You can never have too many.
So I'll show you where I would put those odes if you wrote one to me. But I think it's really important that you, again, guys, to really tap into the time that you possibly might have if you're out of school or if you're off of work or if you're working from home, and try to really see what can come of that success for time quarantined. I don't know.
Want to leave you all with this response we got on Instagram from Erica Marie 73, learning the music video dance to Stupid Love. That's it. I feel like that's the answer.
I mean, look, that is the answer.
That's the answer to what do you do when you can't leave your house, when your plans were canceled because it was going to be a gathering of more than 100 people. Dance it out, girl.
Dance it out.
Learn a skill.
Girl. I want to read a couple more of these from our friends on the Twitter. Again, at DragCast is how you can get a hold of us there. But my friend at Rainbow PAR #4 DISE. Sarah, she says, I'm feeling very overwhelmed for the most part. School is out. My internship told me that the program is suspended for now, and work is cutting hours since no one is shopping at the mall. Trying to craft away my feelings, but mostly I'm just laying in bed with my cat and snacking. Okay, Queen.
All approved.
Sarah, I need to know what you're snacking on right now. So if you can, give me your snack list. For me personally, Pat, what's something you're snacking on?
What am I snacking on? Well, I've been snacking on goldfish crackers today. We were snacking on takeout pho earlier today, and by snacking on I mean that was our lunch. My refrigerator is stocked full of string cheese, which is sort of my go-to like grab and go breakfast and or snack right now. It's also full of other kinds of cheeses, as you might imagine. Big dairy fan. Cheese and crackers.
It's funny, you and Leah Salonga, who replied to, I said, hey, what's everyone, I've got a grocery list. I'm going to the store today. What's on everyone's list? I know I'm getting wine. Leah Salonga replied, cheese. All of the cheese. I'm like, yeah, we're meant to be friends.
Oh my God. Give her my number now.
She'd be like, please, don't you know cheese is all I live for? I want cheese and nothing more. At night, everything that's not cheese can walk out that door.
You guys, I'm crying over here.
That's my Miss Saigon
I know,
parody.
It's so emotional.
Okay, cool. That's good.
Parody or brilliant inspired remake.
So thanks for everyone who replied. There were so many more replies. We got a bunch of emails. We're gonna be,
check out the comments. They're coming in. So you guys check them out and
check them out.
Add your thoughts.
Check it out. Right before we
you
go,
and I have been
we
playing.
We gotta talk about this.
One specific board game since last night, and we've played it a lot of times.
Okay, well, go ahead and tell them.
It is Villainous. We had not played with all the characters in the original box, which you've had the game for some time, and just being on the road and everything, and not having a game night. You hadn't played it yet.
Well, no. So here's the deal. I was given Villainous when it was first published. This was a really hard game to get, and the Columbus board Gaymers, Gaymers, gave it to me as a gift, and it was a major gift. And I was like, I cannot wait to play. And then I got the call for Drag Race, and I never got to open it. I never got to play. So now, kind of having this forced self-quarantine of just really wanting to make sure I take care of myself and others, Patricia was in my kitchen last night, and I go, hey, do you want to play a board game? And she said...
And I've never said no to that question.
She said, absolutely. And I go, okay, why don't we crack this open? I'm curious to see how this works. It's a Disney game. Let's stay on brand. And so we opened it up, And the first, so the first published version of the game is 6 characters, and it's like, it's really instruction heavy. And so
there are a lot of rules.
There are a lot of rules, and the
variations.
gameplay is all in the cards, and it's just a lot to the game. So if you've tried to play before, my recommendation is that you play probably again, and you play, I think, in succession several times, so you can understand actually how it works. I think if you take too much time away from it, you're gonna not get the momentum of of how to understand the game, because it's very complicated.
That's a really good point. I think that's helped us.
And every character plays a different game. So it's almost like, so if there are 6 characters in the box, and I forget, it's like Ursula and Maleficent and
Prince John. I don't know why that's the only
Captain
one I can remember.
And
Jafar
and one other
person.
Oh,
Queen of Hearts
are all in this first box. It's almost like you get your own little board and you get to play your own game, but your gameplay does impact the other person who's playing their gameplay, and you can block, and it's basically you want to complete your objective before the other person does. And I've never been into a game like this before. Like, I don't know if it's like role play or it's a different. I don't know what it is.
It's just
it's like a different version of Dungeons and Dragons. No,
I feel like, and I am not playing a lot of modern board games. I'm just gonna get out there with it. I'm gonna admit it. There's like cooperative game. I just feel like board games, the rules of all of them have gotten to be like, if this, then this. They're just really complicated.
They're complicated.
I don't know that Monopoly is not a complicated game though. If you weren't born into a world where Monopoly just was. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are all these, every square is a different thing, and you can buy it or you don't have to. And so but I've known it for so long, it's just like so easy for me. So maybe all games are complicated, but I do feel like these games, they look intimidating to me.
Yeah.
I love a Scrabble. That is my favorite.
I love a Scrabble. I love a Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I also have a Monopoly, like before we go, I have a Monopoly that's Walt Disney World version that's never been opened either, that I believe you got me for Christmas a couple years ago, so we're going to have to open that.
I also have, on the Disney theme, I have Haunted Mansion Life.
I'm ready to play that. I got you that.
And I have Bob's Burgers, I believe, Life also.
Sounds like you like butts.
Clue.
Sounds like you like butts.
It's Clue.
Who did it?
Butts.
So you know. Well, what are you playing? That's our next question. What board games do you recommend? What are you playing? Or how are you engaging? Are you engaging with your Nintendo Switch? Or you can play? What are you doing? Let us know. Email us at dragcastpodcast@gmail.com. It's Andrew and Patricia always. Or send us your remarks on our socials: Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. Again, it's at DragCast. We're back, guys. We don't know how long we'll be here, but we're here for right now. Make sure you tune into our next episode, which it's going to be coming out, who knows when, but in a couple days. Our next episode is definitely going to be talking about all the stuff we have missed with a season 11 recap. So if you have any questions about anything you've seen on Drag Race 11 or the aftermath, we'd love to talk about it with you. Of course, it's just my experience and my impressions, but we can go there, and maybe we'll try to call a person or two and get them on the podcast. Who knows? We're shooting from the hip.
Like, we have time. We're gonna figure it out.
But that's on our next episode. So let us know if you've got questions about season 11. Again, dragcastpodcast@gmail.com. Hey, and the episode after that, we're going to be talking about all these bigger experiences since the show. So if you've got questions about my personal experience after show, I'd love to hear from you about those too. dragcastpodcast@gmail.com. And Patricia's going to be talking about being awesome and amazing. Yeah. And making sure that we stay on task.
I'll be talking plenty. No worries there, as DragCast fans know. Nina West, on the note of board games are my good vibe for
good
episode.
Vibes. Yay, good vibes.
What is your good vibe today?
Yeah, okay, so this is, if you're new to the podcast, we always end, I forgot. Oh my God, it's so good to be back. We always end every episode with a good vibe. And man, oh man, it's more important than ever to give good vibes. My good vibe today, because I think we're going to be hopefully sticking with this we're going to be going pretty straight through for a little bit.
For this
no
episode.
promises. But my good vibe for today is Brooklyn Hytes, and I'll tell you why. Brooklyn Hytes on her put out a video today talking about how she's going to be donating all of her Cameos money that she makes for the next week to local entertainers throughout the country who need money and funds. So the way you can get involved in that, hold on. First of all, thank you, Brooklyn. Brooklyn Hytes, the consummate showgirl, the consummate entertainer, and an incredible friend who is speaking up and using her platform and her voice during this really difficult time for people who really need it. So you can go to Brooklyn Hytes Cameo. That's That's cameo.com, and then just search Brooklyn Hytes. And you can hire Brooklyn. I believe the cost is $100. And then you will message Brooklyn the message you want to send to this local performer. And then you send her, in that message, their local performer's Venmo or PayPal. And Brooklyn will take the money that you pay for the Cameo and then turn around and send it to the local performer. So get in on that action. We'll put the links up in our episode notes tonight, and you can do that very thing. And hell, who knows? I think we're feeling a little charitable too here, so let's see what happens. So give while you can, with what you can, and what you got. Time, talent, treasure, it's what really matters. Thank you, Brooklyn, for taking the lead on this and being so wonderful. That's my good vibe. So, guys, we're back. It's DragCast with Nina West. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Patricia.
And this is DragCast. We'll be back very soon. Write us. We want to know what you're thinking. Drag is dress up for girls and boys, and it's pretty hard to mess up. All you gotta do is imagine who you wanna be and make it lovely or make it trash. You could sashay in a garbage bag. Baby, you could make it fashion. All you gotta do is trust yourself and believe. 'Cause drag is magic. La 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 la. Drag is cool, drag is fun. La 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 la. 'Cause drag is magic. What is drag? Drag is a vacation from a boring day. Use your own imagination. All you gotta do is close your eyes and see who you wanna be. Alakazam. You could be a pirate on the 7 seas or a princess on a mission. All you gotta do is trust yourself and believe. 'Cause drag is magic. La 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 la. 'Cause drag is magic. La 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 la. 'Cause drag is magic. Drag is for you and drag is for me. Drag is for everyone. Drag is cool. Drag is fun. La 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 la. 'Cause drag is magic. You know, you can be anything you want to be. Just repeat after me. We're going to start real quiet. Alakazam. Alakazam. Hocus pocus. Hocus pocus. Abracadagra. Abracadagra. And presto change-o, drag is magic. La 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 la. 'Cause drag is magic. La 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 la. 'Cause drag is magic. Drag is for you and drag is for